Alright guys, welcome. It's Weldon Jones of Sports Media TV Unfiltered, and today we have a great list of topics to talk about. Some of which NBA related. We're going to talk about a little bit of tennis today, so strap in your sports enthusiast helmets and let's get down to it. And also some MMA too, because there are some things I want to discuss there that are kind of weird. Alright. So let's start with NBA. If you guys haven't been keeping up with free agency, which I say this all the time, but everybody's keeping up with free agency. Everybody's talking about who's going to go where, and is my favorite team going to get LeBron James? Is my favorite team going to get Kevin Durant? Is my favorite team going to get Russell Westbrook? Where's your boy Kawhi going? Is somebody leaving in free agency? Are we trading for somebody? What's good in the hood? Everyone's talking about it all the time, so I probably shouldn't say that statement anymore. But for purposes of new viewers watching, I'm going to say it anyway. But let's talk about this. The Oklahoma City Thunder are thinking about going ahead and trading away Russell Westbrook for assets. How do you feel about this decision? Yay or nay? Is this like a thumbs up or a thumbs down? My 2 cents on the matter, because that's obviously why you're here, is to hear my 2 cents on the matter of Russell Westbrook possibly being traded, is some of these teams are driving some pretty hard freaking bargains. When you talk about the teams that are trading for him, one of which actually is the Clippers, and this would be interesting because this would be interesting. Because this would bring Blake Griffin back home to Oklahoma. Kind of, sort of, in a way. I mean, Oklahoma City is not quite Oklahoma, but it's still Oklahoma. And that would bring Blake Griffin essentially back home, right? So, that is a very valuable option. Now, here's the problem with this. Blake Griffin is a bit older than what Russell Westbrook is. So if Oklahoma City takes this trade, yes, they would be remedying the problem that was left when Ibaka was traded away. But let's be honest here, like Enes Kanter and Steven Adams are their best bet at being championship contenders in the starting front court. So why bring another person that's going to warrant starters' minutes? And it's probably he's not the shooter that Enes Kanter is. And he's definitely not as skilled in the low post as Enes Kanter is. Now, he is more athletic, and he does play a slightly bit better defense, and he is already proven as a star. Not a superstar, because you have to make it past the second round of the playoffs to be considered a superstar. But a star. And Enes Kanter is not proven as a star. But guess what? Enes Kanter has plenty of years to become one. So, in this case, Oklahoma City is definitely better off with youth over face value, because obviously, if they're thinking about trading Russell Westbrook, they don't believe this man is going to stay in OKC. They believe he has a foot out the door already. So if you're going to lose him is something worth losing him for. And that's how I feel about him going to the Clippers. Now, the Celtics is another story altogether, because this is a different scenario. If you send Russ out the door, you're going to need a good combo guard. And this was brought up, I was just looking at the article actually a couple of minutes ago. Very well written article outside the terrible grammar in one section of the paragraph, by the way. Very nice article, very good perspective. And this part I kind of agree with here. The Celtics are your best trading partner. Because if you look at what they have amassed here, they have years of first-round draft picks to offer you. They have a bunch of young talent that you know is going to pan out and that they just don't have room for. They literally have too much talent for Brad Stevens to control. In other words, they don't have enough roster spots for the amount of star talent that they potentially have in their young roster. So the Celtics are going to give you very promising, good young players with amazing upside, and then they're going to give you big-time draft picks that they've accumulated from lesser teams who they pretty much bargained out of basic trades and got really good assets out of it. Like, the Celtics are the king of draft picks right now. And right now, if I'm OKC, I'm thinking NBA draft, NBA draft, NBA draft. Because if you look at how they built the core the first time, that's how they did it. And to say that Sam Presti, the wizard that he is, and has proven to be, can't do it again, would be an understatement. In fact, it'd be such an understatement that I would say you're sleeping on Oklahoma City is in terms of their front office. Now, with that being said, all this in the landscape, I'm going to put it into one big perspective about what the NBA is becoming. With Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, and this is probably the last time I'm going to ever bring this up, because now at this point, like, it was great news when it first came out, but now I'm just sick of talking about it. Like, we get the point. KD went to the Warriors. Life moves on. No one has stopped breathing because KD went to the Warriors. Now, granted, they might stop breathing at some point during the regular season, but no one has stopped breathing because of KD going to the Warriors. Big picture, the league is going to look a lot different next year, as it is. And with talks of, some of these mid-level players like Rudy Gay coming out in trade talks, and some of these other players, you'd like to think that it's definitely going to be a different look next year. I don't think Rudy Gay being traded is a really big impact trade. Don't get me wrong. I don't really see any big-time impact in that. Like, you can't sell me on the fact that Rudy Gay is going to single-handedly change a franchise. Yes, he can score in double digits every single game, but his defense has yet to be found. And yes, he can play stretch four, but teams are starting to get bigger now. People say teams are getting smaller, but you can see after this draft, I mean, look how many big guys came out of the draft. Like, can we just look at how many bigs came out of the draft? I mean, like, legitimate stretch bigs that can shoot the three ball and have the size to be of impact against teams that are going to want to utilize a small ball four. And we're going to see this a lot now. So maybe this will help counter some of the small ball stuff for teams that can't play small ball. But all that taken into account, a Rudy Gay trade is not going to knock my socks off for a team that's already sitting around mid-tier after losing a superstar. It'd be different if it was one of the top-tier teams like Golden State or San Antonio or the Cleveland Cavaliers picking up Rudy Gay. Now, that's a different story, because now you're talking about Rudy Gay plus a legitimate superstar or set of superstars that he can kind of do his thing in the background behind, and him not be a focal point of your team. And yeah, Oklahoma City has Russ, but Russ is pretty much out for himself. Like, the whole assist thing is triple doubles, really. His infatuation with triple doubles. That's what the whole assist thing is. And outside of that, anytime he gets any kind of a look, he's going to jack it up. So, adding in a Rudy Gay that Russell Westbrook doesn't even know or trust is not going to help Oklahoma City at all. Especially if you plan on keeping Russ. Now, if they're going to trade for Rudy, if they're going to trade, if they're going to do like a sign and trade kind of thing or whatever, whatever it may be at some point. And I believe at this point it's just going to be a trade straight up. And my other thing is this: what are you going to get in return for Russ outside of Rudy Gay? Because, I mean, you put the numbers beside each other, and there's still something to be desired there on Oklahoma City's end for this to not be a lopsided trade for a Rudy Gay kind of player. So, that is one thing. Unless Cameron Payne just, overnight turns into Michael Jordan. And then on the other hand, then we're talking another scenario. But I'm an optimist. I don't think Sam Presti's that much of an optimist. Especially for Cameron Payne. But that's just one other thing, right? So, when we're talking about the NBA, there's one more little bone I have to kind of pick in this little segment. The hack-a-shack rules. Now, I've kind of... I might be a bit biased to this, I guess, for the most part, because this was a strategy that the Spurs used against the Clippers in their series back in 2015 or 2014. 15. It was 15, guys. I apologize. And I don't have a problem with it. And maybe not for that reason, but the bottom line is this, man. You got to hit your damn free throws. Like, all these rule changes, I get what Adam Silver's trying to do. He's trying to cater to the fans that complain about it messing up the flow of the game and stuff like that. But at a certain point, you know, money has to take a back seat to how the game is supposed to be played. Do you really think people are going to stop watching the best league in the world over hack-a-shack? I don't think so. It's not that serious to me. It doesn't seem that serious. And to anybody who has the point of view that it's all about money, well then, I'm glad you're not the commissioner either. Because what this is doing to the game of basketball is ridiculous. Teams can't even be competitive anymore. I get it. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. But one thing about being a professional that I'm pretty sure has been looked upon for decades is hitting your goddamn free throws. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how athletic you are. If you can't take the time to learn how to hit a 15-foot wide open uncontested jump shot at least 70% of the time, so teams can't hack you to keep you out of the game, that is your own fault. Your own fault. That is it. That is my rant on that. I don't care how nice DeAndre Jordan is in person. I don't care how good of a person he is. I don't care how great a rim protector he is and how entertaining he is with this Lob City. Guess what? Instead of spending so much time trying to build Lob City, learn how to build Swish City. Hit your free throws. How about that? Try that. Andre Drummond, same thing. I love it. He's a walking double-double, man. So much talent. Learn how to hit your damn free throws. Learn how to hit a jump shot. If there are college players and amateurs that can hit a fucking jump shot, then you should be able to hit a fucking jump shot. Especially an uncontested, wide-open 15-foot one. So, all this talk about the hack-a-shack rules, I mean, what's done is done. Seeing this video is not going to change anything, but in my opinion, it just makes me angry when you excuse players from having to build and develop some kind of a skill that's considered a weakness. And I'll put it in this example. Let's take Steph Curry, for example. Teams like to body him up, play him really physical, actually really just foul him 100% of the time, right? And they get away with it. So the refs aren't constantly blowing the whistle for Steph Curry. They're not constantly blowing the whistle for Steph every time he's getting bumped, trying to cut through the lane, trying to go across the screen, and somebody's grabbing his jersey, attached to his hip, like literally touching his hip, doing a blatant hand check that they're not supposed to do. So, at what point are you making this excuse for big guys? This is what I'm trying to understand. At what point are we trying to make this excuse for big men who don't want to take the time to fix their jump shot? Here's an example of this. I'll give you an example. Tim Duncan, when he came into the league, he was a horrible free throw shooter. He was in, pretty much flirting with the 50s. That's what he was when he first came into the league. 2 years later, this guy, through hard work, being in the gym, and we're talking about someone who just retired a couple of days ago, which I probably shouldn't be doing because, it's kind of biased. But whatever. My point being is, he raised his free throw percentage 20 percentage points in the course of 2 years. So now, and from that point going forward, when teams sent him to the free throw line, they were actually doing him a service because he was able to get free points instead of it being a disadvantage. Now, they never hacked to Duncan because he was an overly physical player, but if they would have hacked to Duncan, it wouldn't have worked during the time that he dominated the NBA. It would not have worked because, guess what? He shot pretty much over 70% from the free throw line for the last part of his career, and it raised his career free throw percentage to like about 69% because he was horrible when he first started out, but he got better. Like, he learned how to hit free throws. If he learned how to hit free throws, nobody deserves a pass. Nobody does. Not a soul. Shaq don't deserve a pass, and he ain't get one. He got hacked whenever possible. Wilt, all these other guys, they got hacked. They had to deal with it, and they had to learn how to hit the occasional free throw here and there. Well, guess what? Why are you shielding these big men now from it? It's bad enough that the emphasis on shooting has decreased among that position. But the fact that you're going to sit here and you're going to excuse players who are getting paid millions of dollars a year from being able to learn how to hit free throws, that's ridiculous. I don't care about entertainment value at this point. It's competitive. Like, every single thing has to count to make this a level playing field. You already have all this natural superstar talent running around. So now you're saying that, all right, we want superstars to dominate the game no matter what, and we're going to make sure that happens with these rules. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't care who you are. Learn how to hit a damn free throw. Get that free throw percentage up towards 70%, and nobody's going to foul you. Have we not noticed this trend? And you know what? Another great example, Hassan Whiteside, who at the beginning of last season was the victim of a lot of Hacker Whiteside, right? But guess what? He learned how to hit his free throws, at least to a certain extent, to be respectable from the free throw line for a big man. And they didn't foul that man for the rest of the season. We didn't see a Hacker Whiteside even in the playoffs. They didn't foul that man and send him to the free throw line on purpose. So, my point being, if he did it and other players are doing it, damn those 4 or 5 other players. Let them have to be taken out of the game until the 2-minute mark. It doesn't matter. You need to learn how to hit your free throws. It's a professional sport. Is it not? Professional sports are about 2 things, guys. 2 things professional sports have always been about. And I know this because, well, hey, first of all, I've asked around. Second of all, I have some experience around me. Not personally, but vicariously through family and stuff like that who have done professional sports. I understand how it works because I ask how it works, and therefore, I know. First of all, it's about 2 things. How hard you're willing to work coming in and potential. That plays one part, right? But the next part that I don't understand why the NBA is not holding people accountable for, or holding their players accountable for, is their development. See, this is the deal. When you get all that money, it's very easy to be complacent with your development and not get better every day. And this is exactly what you're pretty much advocating for when you take away when you add these Hack-a-Shaq rules. Because these big men can be very great players. They all, being a power forward or center, automatically right there gives you an advantage at, possibly topping a list of being the best of all time, because you can do so many more things. You're tall, you're long, you have a better chance to protect the rim, you have a better chance at being a great rebounder. And then if you add a nice little jump shot or something like that, you got yourselves a Hall of Fame career. Dirk Nowitzki, for example, right? Alright. But the thing is, you have to make players work hard. You have to make them do their jobs. Like, why is it that because someone can't hit a free throw and is shooting 30% from the free throw line, you're going to make a rule to bail them out so people can't touch them during the last 2 minutes of the game? Are you serious? Like, what kind of rule is that? Obviously, it's a money rule, but no. This is why we're not going to have anybody that is going to be better than anybody that came before us, because the NBA is constantly taking steps backwards and backwards to be in a more competitive league. Alright, I'm done with this rant here. I don't want to say too much about the NBA before Adam Silver comes knocking on my door and knocking my door down and is just like, you need to stop. So, enough about that. Let's talk a little bit about the UFC, MMA, good stuff. I only have one thing to talk about right here. Johnny Bones Jones, what are you doing? What are you doing? So John Jones, if you don't know, got pulled off the UFC 200 card, which really sucked because Daniel Cormier had to face Anderson Silva, which he did win, but really? I don't think the ratings were as great for that. Just a hunch. I'm just a hunch. I don't think the ratings were as great for that as it would have been for John Jones Daniel Cormier fight. Okay, back to the point that matters. I love me some John Jones. And now I'm not going to buy this whole notion that he was taking estrogen blockers. Alright, that's the first thing. I'm not going to buy that whole notion. But I will say this. This has become a growing problem with sports and this whole anti-doping thing. I get it. You catch a few people doping, doing some things, and then you make a banned substance list every year. But here's the problem with this anti-doping thing. Alright? And I'm going to go back to the Sharapova situation, because I feel the same way about this situation as I do about this. Athletes are busy people. And what John Jones was a victim of was, I believe it to be an honest mistake. And here's why I say that. Because John Jones, he is the most candid person ever when it comes to the media. Like, he tells you how it is. Even if he makes the dumbest of mistakes, he tells you how it is. The cop incident, he told you how it was. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't try to make himself look better or look worse. He didn't try to change his image at all. He just told you for what it was. And you can always count on one thing with Johnny Bones Jones. He is going to be honest and upfront with you, especially when it comes to these matters. And I believe, and this gives me reason to believe that it could be an accident from supplements. And especially when you hear about these supplements coming out, like, this is not the first time we've heard this before. Like, there's an example of, there was this supplement out, I forget the name of it, but whatever the manufacturers were doing, they were putting methamphetamine inside the supplement. And you had regular people like you and me going to buy this supplement from health stores, right? So it's very hard to know sometimes with these supplements, especially, he was like, he didn't even know the name of it or whatever. If you didn't know the name of it, that's kind of sketchy right there. I probably wouldn't have taken it to begin with, but it is what it is. But at the same time, you got to point the finger both ways. Of course, John Jones is the athlete, so he is somewhat to blame for this. But also, I'm starting to point the finger at these doctors, these specialists, these companies that are coming out with these different products that are supposed to enhance performance, or not enhance performance, but make you healthier and help you legally in between workouts and, the rigorous task that is being a professional athlete or being an athlete or being someone that just wants to be in shape in general. And, I mean, these products now are becoming more and more iffy. And on top of that, now more than ever, athletes are under more pressure to try new things, to try to up their game, because the game is evolving. And all of this playing into account with the fact that he didn't know much about the supplement, he was prescribed the supplement by a specialist, this is all just a big mess. And it all came crashing down on the UFC, MMA, profits and revenues, because a John Jones fight would have brought the house down. No one would have loved more to see that than me and everyone else, because we were waiting for this rematch for the longest. And first it was John Jones with the whole traffic cop incident. And we had no more John Jones drama. And then you know there was no John Jones drama, and then we turn around and now we see John Jones' name right beside the use of PEDs or banned substances. Like, one, this man can't catch a damn break. Second of all, there's multiple parties to blame for this, but obviously at the end of the day, it's going to stick with John Jones' legacy. Probably one of the best talents to ever step to the octagon, and he has to deal with this. So, you know, that's definitely kind of sad, and that's definitely something that I wanted to talk about. But my take on that, just to sum up that whole little rant, is like I said, the blame comes from multiple sources, because everyone is just, like, the world as we know it is changing. And sports and athletics as we know it is changing. And now they pick a convenient time to try to crack down on this PED stuff. And I'll say, like I said with Sharapova, that stuff she wasn't even taking wasn't even that bad. It was for her own personal health. And you're going to ban her for 2 years. Like, yeah, you guys are really, really on to something. Like, why don't you try to find anabolic steroids instead of this? Instead of trying to make an example for doping over petty shit. Like, this is dumb. In my opinion, the whole doping thing shouldn't even be an issue. Like, for real. If someone's doping, that's their business. Like, at this level, at the professional level, it's more about your skills. Because what separates an amateur from a professional is being physically more equipped to deal with the respective sport. And then what separates a professional from a great professional is honing in your skills and your style to make it work for you and pretty much overcome the opponent. So, when I look at this doping thing in sports, and I look at the incident with LeBron and the PEDs and stuff like that, which he never got busted for. He never even got in trouble for that. He didn't get fined. He didn't get suspended or anything. But he's LeBron James, right? So he can get away with that. But my point being, like, with LeBron and the PEDs, even with LeBron and the PEDs, he still lost to the Spurs. Like, these substances don't matter. And I wish people would stop acting like they matter so much and trying to find a reason to crucify athletes that they don't like. Like, it is so annoying how people just try to find a reason to hate somebody. And PED and substance use is probably one of the biggest things, but it comes in so many different forms that sometimes somebody can not even know the damn story, and as soon as they hear somebody saying, "Oh, John Jones, I hate that guy. I hate him. I knew he was cheating all along." Like, get out of here, man. You don't know what that man's doing. And especially somebody like John Jones who doesn't ever lie to the... Like, he's never told a lie in an interview. Like, he's always just straightforward and honest about everything. Like, he's never had to pause and think about the right lie. He's always straightforward. He tells you like it is, even if it winds up backfiring on him. And for that reason, I think people need to chill out. Just calm down. Like, let the story unfold. Let us understand what is going on first. Because, especially with athletes that are very, very candid with the media and not, you-know-what to them, those athletes especially, their words have a lot of weight in these matters. Not as far as getting decisions overturned, but as far as public opinion, I mean, believability is just one important thing, right? But yeah, with that being said, let's talk about some tennis. And I'm going to end on that note with tennis, by the way. So as we saw, Andy Murray has clinched his second British Grand Slam title. Congratulations to the British and Scottish native. He deserved it, definitely. Federer was definitely the next favorite in line to win if Murray was not to win it. But Federer, unfortunately, ran into problems with back spasms during his match with Milos Raonic, and that pretty much sentenced the end for him. But the good news is he's made it to yet another Grand Slam semifinal, and he's still pushing 30-something. So that means he still has potential to win that coveted 18th Grand Slam whenever he gets around to it. That's the good thing. Now, when we talk about Andy Murray, and this is interesting to me, Andy Murray has raised his level of play once again with the return of his coach, Maresmo. Her last name's Maresmo. Very talented tennis player, obviously, and an even better coach because she has Murray playing unconscious. He's playing closer to the baseline. He's still counterpunching, but he's doing it effectively. He's staying on the baseline, not giving his opponent a lot of time to come up with answers, and then he's using that superior control that he has over his shots to just dictate points, and we saw a lot of that in Wimbledon, and I hope to see a lot more of it because if anybody can knock off Djokovic, it's that guy right now. He's young enough. He's never injured. Like, that's a good thing right there. He's never injured. Murray has the control game to force Djokovic into mistakes, which is kind of hard, but if anybody can do it, out of a long shot, it's Andy Murray. And other news dealing with tennis, Serena Williams has won another Wimbledon and won another Grand Slam title, continuing her dominance in the tennis world. And we don't need to talk about how she's dominating because we know how she's dominating. Mostly because she's bigger and stronger than every other girl out there. And with the combination of the less superior technique that women use as compared to male pros as far as length of backswing, footwork, and just overall aggressiveness and precision in shot making, that tells you what it is right there. It's just that Serena does that a little bit better than most other pros, and the pros that do it better than her are not quite physically as dominant as she is, which is one of her natural gifts. So you could call her like the LeBron James of tennis, really, except LeBron James will never see 18 championships in his career. I doubt that will ever happen. But hey, you never know. Maybe he'll play till he's 60 if he keeps in the gym. With that being said, other than that, guys, thanks for watching and tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. It was a little bit more animated, a little bit on the fly. I wanted to have a little fun today because I just got back, so give you guys some entertainment value. But thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, leave a like if you want to. Tell me what you think about all this stuff. There's like 3 parts to this rant, so feel free to skip around throughout the video. I might leave the minute marks in there so you can see the topics, just so you can go ahead and listen to the topics and go about your day. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching.